dive in.
Let's dive into our first topic of the day after a quick word from FanDuel. You guys know I love sports. I love them so much, and as the summer winds on, we get fewer and fewer games until football season comes back, and the sports just aren't sportsing like I want them to right now, but FanDuel keeps me in the game and lets the sports go whenever I want because all I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball and the ultimate Cleveland sports show. You guys mentioned Deshaun Watson a second ago. He participated for the first time since injuring his shoulder last season in padded and unpadded 7-on-7 throwing drills. He was supposed to do 11-on-11 throwing drills today. Got rained out, so that's going to get postponed till tomorrow.
He has done a few 11-on-11s.
He's thrown a couple, but the full padded offense-defense that we were expecting and hoping to see today, they got rained out, so that gets pushed back till tomorrow whenever Kevin Stefanski and the coaching staff decide to roll that back out. But, guys, I wanted to ask you this. When we see all these videos coming out of Deshaun through a miraculous no-look touchdown pass to David Njoku over the weekend, is there anything Deshaun could do in camp, in preseason, prior to the kickoff of week one that could change your perception of him in a good way or a bad way other than playing in actual, legitimate, regular season games? Does anything that comes out of the next 6 weeks matter in terms of how you perceive Deshaun Watson, the quarterback, heading into the 2024 season?
Well, first of all, let's take the word miraculous out of our vocabulary when talking about.
I'm trying to hype it up, baby. Come on.
I know you are, but you did a hell of a job.
They'd retire his jersey tomorrow.
You did a hell of a job, but I'm not going to call anything I see in training camp miraculous. We've fallen down that hole before. I don't know. What about you? All right.
I'll go ahead. I'll kick the party off. Tyler says this all the time. He says, I am not part of the media, right? And people think it's tongue-in-cheek and,
Sorry, Tyvus, you're very much part of the media.
Right, yeah, you are part of the media. But the sentiment he's trying to say is he never forgot what it is to be to be an athlete. And what it is to be an athlete, you understand that you don't look at the game the same way as maybe people who just look at the black and white and is it a win or not? Is it regular season? Did you play good or no? There's different shades of gray. And when you're talking about football, you want to stack days together, right? You want to be able to stack good days, good throws together, especially when you're in the dog days of camp. And when you look at his performance, is he going to be jumping up and down for joy because he's ready to play in the Super Bowl today? No. But one of the things that you can see is these are the building blocks of actually playing well in game one. So you want to see him be able to control the huddle. You want to see him be, as people talked on Twitter, 11-11, 12-12, or 18-18. It's okay. I would rather see you throw a no-look pass than throw the ball in the ground and look like you don't know what's going on. So for me, if you're inside the camp, if you're inside the Browns organization, yes, these practices matter and count. But if you're outside and you're just a fan and you're just like, hey, I'm into Sundays, the Muni lot, or just looking to break down wins or losses, it may not mean much to you. But in the scheme of things, does that make it important to play well and to have good, stackable, winnable drills and showing that you are progressing? That's huge for him. That's huge for the team, and it's huge for Ken Dorsey, a new offense, to see this thing working out and playing out in real time. So it's kind of a yes answer. I believe it counts, and it counts for the people that are in the building, but you might not see the dividends on the outside.
Well, will it change my perception of Deshaun Watson either way? No, because as you alluded to, it's training camp, and I've been down that rabbit hole of being overhyped because I see players perform overly well during training camp, or being too discouraged on the player because he didn't have the best camp. So I think when you see it either way, it's best to remain even keel because it's training camp. But Kevin Stefanski talks about winning each day, going 1-0 each day. And so to the point that G just made, it's about stacking good days in a row, not just for Deshaun Watson, but for every member of this football team. Like building those consistent good habits that will ultimately lead to success during the regular season and hopefully during the playoffs. But no, I'm not going to get too hyped or make any mass decisions on Deshaun Watson one way or another based on what he does in training camp.
Yeah, I think that's a responsible answer. I think the question is, can he change your perception during camp? And the true answer to that is yes, he can, but it only goes one way, only in a negative way. If he's putting 6 out of 7 balls in the dirt, or he's sailing them over receivers' heads, I'm looking at that going, uh-oh, he's lost his compass. He can't throw the football where he needs to throw it. That would be worst-case scenario and a debacle. We have not seen that. He has been on target. He has been on point. And that means he's reaching the bar that we've all set for him. Mm-hmm. Can he go over that? No, because there's no live bullets. There's no pressure. There's nothing. There's no risk of injury. Right. So he's doing what we absolutely need him to do, standing in the pocket and finding guys. Mm-hmm. You better do that. If all 32 better be in camp doing that. If they're not, then you're looking to next man up. So he can change our perception, only for me in a negative way. If he throws a miraculous no-look pass in practice, I'm going to be like, okay, that's cool. That's great. You'd rather, to your point, you would much rather. It means everything to him, by the way.
Yes.
I like your point of stackable wins, like doing things that reminds him that he can be Deshaun Watson Houston, Deshaun Watson Clemson again. So all of that is good for his confidence and his psyche. But for the most part, the hay is in the barn for us as far as our decision on what he is. And what he is, there's a wide range. There's Baltimore second half, and then there's pretty much everything else we saw since he became a Brown. So you got two bodies of work. We got to balance them together and make our prognostication for what he'll actually be for 17 games this year. But he's not going to change my mind in a positive way by anything I see him do in camp.
My defensive line coach, Eric Washington, he's been a defensive coordinator in the NFL. He coached me. He came, and when he first got there, and he talked about one of his big things was, you making deposits in the bank. When you out there, you working, you making deposits. Nobody don't want to make no deposits in the bank, right? But when it comes time you need that money, we all like withdrawals. And so practice and the way you practice and the way you go about it and the repetition, just being back into the mode of, you got to think about it, dude didn't play for a year. It takes discipline to play football.
Almost 2 years.
2 years. He didn't play for 2 years. Just being on the field, showing the acumen to be able to be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this today and I'm going to do it tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow and over again. That's what it is to be a quarterback. And if he did not play, like say for instance, if this was another quarterback and he was doing what he was doing, what Deshaun is doing right here, quarterbacks are not stories in training camp.
No.
If you think about it, no starting quarterback is Kirk Cousins or Josh Allen or
Russell Wilson getting hurt's the only one.
That's it.
Yeah.
There is no. Those guys do not make headways. You know why? Because it's consistent and it's the same. And the only thing that really moves their needle into who they are up or down is what they do in the regular season. Training camp is for guys trying to make the team.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. It's getting in shape, guys making the team. You make your name on Sundays, right? So hopefully we can get to a point where next year Deshaun Watson is not a story. We can talk about Jamari.
I do think that he comes in here with every expectation himself of turning it around and playing great.
Yeah.
I think he's got the goodwill equity of 85 to 90% of our fan base because of the second half in Baltimore. Guys, that is so critical. I thought about this a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about when I was just going through the process of his offseason. Mm-hmm. Could you imagine if he got hurt in the first half of that Baltimore game, which was one of the worst he's ever played as a Brown? Go look at the numbers. One of the worst halves of football he has played.
It was a pick the first play of the game.
First play of the game. I thought the game was over.
Pick six.
And I literally, if you juxtapose where he was in the first half of that game to where he finished that game, do you know how important that was? Because if he doesn't have that second half and he comes out at halftime with an injury, he's got nothing to build on.
Zero.
And neither do the fans that are strongly entrenched in his camp. Thankfully, we saw that second half. That happened, and that very much mattered. And that allowed him to get through the last 8 to 9 months with a level of excitement that I can still do this. Imagine the question swirling in his head if he had come out with injury at halftime after the worst half of his Cleveland Browns career.
And you know what? You said something right there. It makes a huge difference. Like, I don't think people understand how much it matters when you have a fan base behind you. When Joe Flacco got here and was a Baltimore Raven his whole life, I remember when he played and how him and Roethlisberger and even Andy Dalton used to just beat the brakes out of us, right? And you got a guy for the Baltimore Ravens who I just kept seeing flashbacks. But the crazy thing about it was when he got here and the city rallied around him, do you know how many times we would watch those games? And those guys mentioned it in the Jets game Thursday night. I got goosebumps when I was watching that.
Yeah.
Like the way the city got behind him and the way he seemed to play. Fans can lift a player to a level that they didn't even really think they can get. And sometimes people don't honestly understand what it is that when you got a movement behind you, kind of like how Bernie had that movement. Flacco, we've seen it places here or there, but we haven't really seen it. And I can't help but think that Deshaun Watson saw that. He saw that. And he said, man, I would love that. But he understood the only way to get there was to put the work in.
To earn it.
To earn it. And he said, you know what? If I earn it, and I put that work in and I earn it,
he'll have it.
They'll come around. They'll come around.
This fan base will do it. They did it with Bernie. They did it for Baker for a short time.
Oh,
they did it for Joe Flacco. Here's an analogy for you. It's like he's a sailboat, and the fan base is the wind. And that wind can blow that boat to the destination like no other.
Yeah.
But it can also blow you so far off course you can't get back.
We've seen it with Baker.
And that really is, the fan base is the wind in the quarterback's sails.
Yeah.
Now, it's not as if the quarterback doesn't control it, because he's got his hands on the levers. Mm-hmm. If he's moving things in the right way and opening the sail the right way, the fans are going to fill it up and move him towards where he wants to go. But if he's throwing picks and losing games and they're close and not good in the fourth quarter, his hands on the lever turning it the wrong way, and it's going to blow him off course. But there's no question this fan base will fill his sail with the wind behind him and carry him to where we all want to go.
And man, it's kind of funny. We always talk about it. It's funny how a change on something can turn something around in 5 or 10 minutes. People was looking around not enthusiastic about voting for nobody. But guess what? Somebody's like, I'm in the race. Vote for me. All of a sudden, things change. Fan bases are fickle. They move like the wind. I call myself the Duke of knee-jerk, right? But a lot of people feel that way. Go talk to him on game day. I think Deshaun Watson, to me, I like his demeanor. I like it. People may say his demeanor is he's been a little ornery, or he's a little terse, he's a little like he's on edge.
Did Jason write a column?